Okay, good evening, everyone. We are going to call the Environmental Services Utility Board meeting to order for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. We'll begin at this time with item 1. Is there any public comment tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 2. Roll call.
Mayor Curtis.
Present.
Alderwoman Lewis.
Here.
Alderman Prude. Alderman O'Brien. Alderman Ozinga.
Present.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Here.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Here.
Alderman Jones.
Present.
Clerk Gall.
We do have a quorum. Move on to item 3. In your packet, you have the minutes from December 16th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mayor.
We have a motion from Alderman Ozinga. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Alderwoman Johnson. Is there any questions or comments, changes, or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderwoman Lewis.
Aye.
Alderman Prude. Alderman O'Brien. Alderman Ozinga.
Aye.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
Clerk Gall.
Okay, we have a vote of present, 5-0. The minutes are approved. We'll move on to item 4, the approval of bills. Should have those in your packet there. I'm going to get to them. You have the bills for January 21st. Cold hand's not working. They are an amount of $715,240.55. You also have before the bills that were approved at City Council for January 6th. Those were $347,584.47, for a total for the month of January for $1,062,825.02. Is there a motion to approve the bills?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from Alderwoman Swanson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Alderwoman Johnson. Is there any questions, comments regarding the bills?
I do have
Alderman Ozinga.
a check 35926, A1 Locksmith, electric strikes for $1,042.
So those are the electric strikes that allow for the key card entry. We had one go bad. I believe it was in the back stairwell here, and so that was a replacement for that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Alderwoman Lewis.
Aye.
Alderman Ozinga.
Aye.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Jones.
Aye.
5 ayes, 0 nay.
All right, approval of bills is approved by a 5-0 vote. We'll move on to the reports now. We'll start with our monthly reports, and I'll pull here. We have our, looks like actually we got a year-end report. So, Mr. Hassick, would you like to provide that for us?
All right, so we kind of compiled everything that, happened in 2024, just kind of narrowed it down. So the Public Works, we're back up to 26 full-time union personnel. We do have the one administrative assistant, Jessica, who's phenomenal, and then you got me and James. So we did experience some turnover this year, unfortunately, with 4 departures, but we did continue to complete cross-training. So ever since James and I took over the department, cross-training was one of our biggest things that we felt we needed to address, because we ran into a couple situations to where we didn't have the personnel available to run equipment or do something. We have all the personnel, but we just didn't have the personnel trained to run the equipment. So now I think we're in a really good spot. We got a lot of youth who's interested in doing those type of things, so we're very thankful for that. Our mechanic shop is led by Jeremy Norton and Ray Ross right now, so we did have our lead mechanic depart from us. But I will tell you, Jeremy Norton and Ray Ross have really stepped up. The shop used to be a consistent worry for us, and now it's no concern of ours at all. As soon as a piece of equipment comes in there, they get it fixed, parts are ordered, it's back on the road within a day or two. So to whereas lead times before were significantly longer, it kind of felt like we were being strung along. So now we're getting Jeremy and Ray Ross trained appropriately in the technological side to be able to better diagnose and fix things. So we're very happy with how our shop's going. We did get the 2023 Volvo front end loader that you guys just recently approved for us as a secondary piece of equipment. That equipment's going to be out every single day in the spring, summer, and fall. So it's definitely, one of our big tools that we use throughout the year, and we're very appreciative of that. We talk about fleet quite a bit with you guys, and how aged our fleet is. So I actually went through all of our vehicles, minus the lawnmowers and stuff like that, because we've been turning over some of that equipment, so our lawnmowers are in great shape. But we really wanted to hit on, all the other vehicles that we drive. So kind of highlighting some things, the stuff that you see in red, that's the stuff that we're just limping along at this point. And, anytime we use it, generally experiences a breakdown or some out-of-service thing. The age of it also plays into a factor with being able to see parts or get parts. So as you can see, our Sweeper 1 to lead off there, diesel motors are good for about 30,000 hours if you really, really maintain them. Sweepers run 8 hours a day. When those things are out, they're constantly running. Sweepers are vital to our organization as far as assisting the sewer department and keep things out of the sewer, out of the river, out of storm drains and everything like that. So as you can see, the replacement cost for one of those is astronomical. They're about $370,000 to replace now. So we do have 2 other sweepers that are getting up there in age. Both of them, you'll see later in the report, had some significant issues this year. So we weren't able to pick up as much. There was a lot of downtime. So it is important for us to also have that 3rd sweeper as a backup. Some of the things in yellow, you see just kind of teetering on the edge, things that are aging significantly. Dump trucks are about $211,000 to $215,000 for a single axle. So those are the smaller dump trucks that you see. The tandem dump trucks are in excess of $250,000 plus for a new one. I know James is working real hard on trying to find us, some good used equipment to kind of get us by, so he's been doing a lot of work on that. But yeah, just going down the line, you can see everything, mileage, hours, things in red that we deem a priority to replace. And at the end of that, I kind of put like a number associated with that. So, over the next 1 to 3 years, if we were to replace everything that was in red at today's prices, it'd be $932,000, and then future replacement costs of everything that's in yellow. I did do about a 2 to 3% markup. As the years go by, obviously there's going to be some kind of markup. So you see that large number there. Moving on to the tree report from Brandon Collins. He always gives a very good report. You guys can read.
Interrupt you 1 second,
Oh, go ahead.
Frank. Just a quick question before you move on from the equipment. Knowing how long it takes to replace anything that we order lately, what length of time would it take to replace the sweeper, to get a brand-new sweeper?
I think fairly quickly.
Yeah, the lead time would probably be within a month.
Oh, really?
In the pickup, the single axle trucks, that lead time is probably 4 months now, where it was a year and a half, 2 years. So they're actually building a lot more. We had one on order, but we believe that, I really believe that they sold it from underneath us. So we had one, but knowing that if we did get approved one, it's 3 to 4 months.
And now, I know it's snowing and you're not sweeping right now, but if the weather was conducive, you guys continue to sweep throughout the year?
Absolutely.
Weather permitting, correct?
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And, excuse me, Frank, real quick, are our trucks aluminum? What are we dealing with most of them? Most of our,
So our truck is just a regular international chassis, and then we've been converting our dump boxes over to stainless steel.
stainless?
Yeah, because that's obviously, rust resistant to all of our salt. You can see some of our older trucks that we have, the white painted ones that are all rusted out. So as we get new vehicles in, or our current vehicles that are still within good date and mileage, we convert those boxes over to steel, and that's about a cost of $35,000 to complete that swap over.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Moving on to the tree report, you know, our tree trimmers, and we have a new arborist, Adam Rivard, and Brandon Collins is kind of the head of our tree division. We have two other tree trimmers, Tyron Hunley and Romero Sharecki. All four of them do a fantastic job. You can pretty much drive anywhere throughout the city and notice their work. You know, it's very, very, very good work, and we're very appreciative of them. So their items removed 107 dead trees. They trimmed 830, and they planted 55 over the last year. So you see that trim number, 830 trees, that is incredible. You know, considering each tree could go from a couple limbs to a large project and take you a couple hours due to the size of some of our trees. Excuse me, but they did an incredible job. They're working into Lower Riverview now. They spent a lot of time on the north side over the last couple years, and then we're just going to keep moving through the neighborhoods as we go along. So that's pretty much in between the snow, whenever we can get to that, and, you know, non-freezing weather. But you can see they planted a different variety of trees rather than just sticking with hard maples, just to kind of give the city a different look. So we appreciate his work. And then at the very end of that, you can see how much money we spent on trees. We primarily go with Snyder's because they give us a phenomenal deal. If we buy so many trees, they give us a couple free or severely discounted. So they're very, very good to work with. The next page is kind of similar to last year with that graph as far as rubbish tickets and mow tickets. So you can kind of see on that legend there some hot spots that we have throughout our city. For the rubbish and code tickets, in the lower right-hand picture on the graph, you'll see the code tickets were issued to rubbish. So we resolved 476 work orders last year. So that's an increase of 184 work orders from the year before. So our code department was out there, you know, doing what they need to be doing. That resulted in 240 tons or 484,000 pounds of solid waste removed from our city streets. Those are specifically illegal dumpings or people who just throw stuff in their backyard. Code gives them a warning, couple days notice or whatever they do. And then we get the work order and then we go resolve that. So that's different than the solid waste pickup. Go ahead.
Frank, I guess I could address this to the mayor too. We were going to do a giveaway program. If somebody wanted a lot, it was next to their property, and we could give it to them free of cost, I believe. Were we very successful in that program? I know we did some, but I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
it really had just kicked off, so in the third quarter, fourth quarter, late third quarter, early fourth quarter, those letters went out to the vacant lot owners. I believe a couple councils, we just did, 3 lots, I think, that three or five we approved on that, and there's more that they're still working on, so.
Okay.
There seems to be, right now, the response was a little bit slow, but there's a lot more people asking for them now.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, Mayor, you got a rough number on how much we spent on this, you know, picking up? Have we, have the cameras, I know we have a lot of cameras in certain, especially that one area that was in the first ward, that was bad. That ain't mine anymore, but I mean, have that camera worked over there pretty much, and we?
You're talking on Locust?
Yes, right.
Yes, that's worked. That property owner actually had a light put up, and he's cleaned everything up. He's done everything we asked, and there's hardly to none illegal dumping there anymore, but they just found another spot.
Okay.
They just moved to another
Okay.
spot.
That's why I wonder with legal dumping, how much are we spending with that per year? Are we getting better with that? I know.
Of, what our
You know,
cost is to the
that they
city?
pick, yeah, the cost to us because,
Well, obviously, it's their personnel hours that they use, but then we spend, if you look, we spend quite a bit of money on hauling waste a month, and it's roughly $7,000 to $9,000 in disposal fees that we pay to a contractor per month. I don't know, I don't think there was any in this bill this year, but usually every month I look and it's close to that, so.
7 to 9, okay.
Yeah, so right now, like you said, we're around that $75, $80 mark. So 284 tons times that number is about approximately what we spent specifically for illegal dumping.
Okay.
Again, the solid waste pickups are different. Those are the individuals that give us a call, or if code hands a door hanger on there and says, oh, I need to do this, and call Public Works. They do a very good job at that. James and I feel like we have a very good working relationship with the rental owners in town. They give us a call, and they know that something's going to be resolved within a day or two. In the summertime, we're doing pickups every Tuesday and Friday, just to kind of keep up with that. Before, it was kind of as they would come in, but it wasn't very efficient to go from brush pickup to rubbish pickup and try to get the guys and gals to go back to rubbish or brush pickup. So we just decided to stick with Tuesdays and Fridays, to build those up and make it worthwhile to go out and run the city for garbage. Brush pickup, again, we stick with the April to October, kind of going to November a little bit to help people out, cleaning their yards up. But ran all the alley routes Monday through Thursday, just a continuous loop every single week. Again, we discussed last year, in the heavy times, it takes about 3 weeks to get the 40 miles of alleys done within the city. But we made sure that every Friday, we got all the terrace routes done for the individuals that don't have alleys. So I feel like we only missed 1 week of those Friday pickups. Other than that, it was a very smooth operation for us with brush pickup. Didn't really have too many issues throughout the year for that. Sweeper operation, we talked a little bit about it. So due to mechanical failures and extended down periods, we only removed 522 tons of waste this year in comparison to the 621 tons of waste last year. So it's about 31 less days of sweeping that we had, just due to both sweepers being down with engine and mechanical issues. So standard equipment really does a good job for us in getting us parts and all that kind of stuff, but it then just becomes our man hours to get the repairs done, because those sweepers are very complex machines. There's a lot of moving parts to them, so even something as simple as a conveyor belt thing becomes about a 2 or 3 day project. So again, our mechanic shop is in tip-top shape now, so we appreciate their work, and they're actually going to break the one sweeper down and rebuild part of the engine on that. So mowing crews, so in comparison to last year, we've stuck around that 190 lots per week. We did resolve 612 code violations for grass. We start mowing, pretty much as soon as the grass starts growing. We at least throw 1 or 2 mowers out there. But so doing some research, the Village of Bradley mows about 70 lots, and the Village of Bourbonus mows approximately 100 lots and right-of-ways. So we take the cake on that. 194 lots, combined they're 170-ish. So our crews are really hustling all spring, summer, and fall long getting those lots mowed. So we appreciate their efforts. Regarding leaf pickup, unfortunately, we did purchase that new leaf vac, and then 2 of the leaf vacs went down right away. So we did work the remainder of the leaf season with only 3 leaf vacs and 2 loader crews, but again, it seems seamless. We were able to pick up on garbage day almost 90% of the time. Again, we still just battle. There's a lot of parking issues on the street. Neighbors battling it out, over who's parking where. Not really sure how you fix that, but we did our best to our ability to work around the cars. So winter operations, we're just going to continue what we did last year, is just cutting trees and trimming trees as best as we can in between snowflakes. We did do 26 property board ups, and then we completed 4 demolition projects this year.
Thank you, sir. Is there any questions, comments for DPW? Alderwoman Swanson?
Just one question, just about demolitions. Do you continue those throughout the winter, or is that still weather?
Yeah, no, we do those, we just did 2 about last month.
Okay.
It's something that we prefer to do in the winter because we have downtime. But again, it's a process through legal and stuff like that to get them.
Thank you.
It's a combination of some of them they're doing themselves, and some of them are being outsourced through ECDA and some other departments, so. Alderman Osinga.
Yeah, Frank, I just want to tell you, a very good report, very informative.
Yeah.
Good job, thank you. You guys work too hard.
All right, thank you. All right, next is sewer services report.
Just a few things that I want to call your attention to. With Gar Creek, I put in the report that Gasmoda would begin the restoration work with a question mark. At the time, it was thought that they were going to begin yesterday, but because of the intense cold and really because of that probably not being able to get much done, they're going to start tomorrow. So the idea is that it's been a long time coming. We're just about at a year. They've been getting all the supplies, all the components necessary. When they get here, the plan is to stay here until it's done. So very, very soon, I'm hoping by the time I come back to you next month, I'll be able to tell you that everything is back in working, running order, and we can just move on from that. The other thing is, at Stone Street, we had one of our transducers go down, but the electricians got that installed. We found that it's a little bit difficult to get those transducers, but we do, from an old supplier, but we do have a new one that we found. We were able to get those, got everything installed, and it's working great again. The last thing that I want to talk about is at East Gracefield. We had an issue where we lost power out there. It turned out to be a blown fuse, but we noticed at the time doing the repair work that the pole seems to be broken, so that's something that I'll talk about a little bit later, something that we're going to have to replace that pole at the lift station. But other than that, everything is really kind of running normal operations, just doing some winter stuff, painting of the interior of lift stations and normal winter work.
Any questions for Superintendent Newton? Okay. Do you have anything you want to add? Next is the technical services. Is there anything, that report was just handed out to everyone? Anything you need to add to that, or?
Yeah, there was just, it's been a whirlwind of 3 months with Christmas and continuing the mast arm inspections. We do have a new admin that has started, so getting her trained on the phones and dealing with the customers and filing of the different paperwork and everything, that's been a little bit time consuming, but we're getting into the swing of things and it's getting easier and more efficient every day, so I'm very happy with the way things are going.
Any questions for technical services? Okay, thank you. All right, next up, we have our lab services report. Mr. McGinnis?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things to update this month. In Manteno, we've been dealing with some of that fats, oils, and grease problem. Still working with Zach and some of those industries on how to kind of solve those problems. There's one that doesn't have pretreatment. We're working with them to get something put in place. They're working with some engineering companies and trying to get something rolling. Just want to let you know there was 10.5 tons of grease they sent us in 1 month. So it's an overwhelming amount of grease. So just want to keep you updated on that. We are working on that, but it gets out of control sometimes. Also, we finished our industrial inspections, so those are an annual requirement of our pretreatment program. We've got to do those once per industry per year, so those are completed. And then lastly, I want to let you know that industrial billing is down significantly. Some in part to holiday shutdowns and those sorts of maintenance activities. Additionally, there's a couple of the bigger industries that have reduced flow, and we expect at least one of them to pick back up, but we'll be a little bit lower than maybe what we anticipated. So just wanted to keep you updated on that.
Any questions for lab services? Okay, thank you, sir. We'll move on to Part B, and that's the financials. Comptroller Rogers handle those out to you, so if you want to pull those forward, and we'll turn that over. Comptroller?
Yeah, we are 8 months into our year, and yeah, as you can see from that first summary page, we are significantly under as far as total expenditures, with the biggest places that we're under being supplies and commodities, maintenance and repairs, and then miscellaneous other expenses. Some of that will pick up. I noticed audit, we've only got our first payment so far that's come through on audit. We'll have the rest of that all in there or accrued by the end of the year. There may be some other places where those expenditures are loaded towards the end of the year. And as Ryan had mentioned, our sewer treatment is slightly lower than what we expected. Residential is running slightly higher, but it's left us sitting at 63.6 when we'd expect to be at about 67. There really isn't anything of note in the graphics on this next page. Again, on the ESU wages and benefits, most of those peaks, well, pretty much all of those peaks are pay periods where we had 3 pays during the month, and that causes a difficulty in the comparison between the months before. On page 3, you'll notice that we only have through November's billing on the residential sewer charges billed by Aqua. Aqua has been lagging behind on their billing. It seems like it's getting up to 45 or 50 days past the end of the month before they're getting the data to us. It's been the last few months that way. I know they've had some internal changes on their computer systems, so I think that is part of it. And then on the industrial sewer, as Ryan had mentioned, it's trending down. It is the lowest it's been since fiscal 2022, but a lot of that is due to holiday shutdowns and lower capacity on some of the other industrial groups. Really nothing of note on page 4. Admin continues to be the place that we're at the lowest on our expenditures year-to-date. On page 6, our water treatment is running just about exactly where we'd expect it to be based on the time of year. Tech services, lab, those are both under budget. And then on the last page, we're significantly under budget on the Public Works Group. And revenues, as I said before, are running about 4% less than what we'd expect. But all in all, we're in pretty good shape. Are there any questions?
No questions for financials? Okay. As we kind of just mentioned a little bit, yeah, some of the revenue coming in from our industrial sector is down, but as you look, a lot of departments are controlling their costs, so we're still, revenues roughly 3 to 4% above expenses through the months now, so we're financially, ESU is still in solid shape, but something we do have to keep an eye on as we come up to the next fiscal year.
On page 3, I'd inquired before, if you notice that large spike that was in 2024, to my knowledge, there's not been an explanation why it shot up like a pyramid there.
When we questioned Aqua said they had an adjustment on several of their...
Can you pull your mic, sorry, Comptroller, can you pull your mic down?
Sorry. Aqua had said that they had an adjustment in the billing on several service areas, and they actually gave us that amount in the collections. So I really didn't go past that in questioning them.
So it wasn't an extra charge on the residents or anything, but it was an extra collections that came to the city of Kankakee from Aqua. I'm going to defer. Wasn't there some discussion, I'll defer to Comptroller or City Manager, they talked also about there is money that can sometimes come in 2 to 3 months later on based on people that haven't paid in a timely manner, and then they'll come in and make some, we've had some large landlords that come in and make some lump sum payments to get some things so they can hold their code tickets and things like that. I was trying to remember a little bit, there was some
I
of that in
don't
there.
remember anything specifics, but that certainly happens from time to time. Those can be large adjustments sometimes, especially if 2 or 3 do it in 1 month.
Any other questions regarding financials? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. I guess Superintendent, you'll probably go over most of all this here, so we have a hydro plant update.
So we just about have the generator 2 assessment done, so waiting for that report to go through it, see what they found. Still moving ahead with all the other work, with the turbine, the blade casting, getting some controls, design and components ordered, so the controls that's coming along. And then with we had the bid opening for the pump, that came in a lot higher than what we anticipated, so just kind of pausing that, take a look at what our options are, and then kind of make a plan and go from there.
We had a bid opening on Thursday for the installation and movement of the pump. Maybe Zach, if you don't mind going over a little bit about that, where that pump's at now, where it was projected would go. But that bid opening, we got one bid, and it came in 4 times what we expected. So we will expect that we'll reject that and go back to the drawing board, and it could be at this point of just not making the pump more easily accessible and just keeping it where it's at. But if you can kind of talk about where it's at today, so.
Yeah, so, right, so where it's at now is on the downstream side by Unit 2. So it is not too easily accessible, but the idea was to move it to the upstream side where we could service it and access it more readily. But the associated, cost of construction with the platform to make it safe to access, and the piping associated with moving it, it just came in at a prohibitive cost. It didn't help that we only had one bid. So I think now the idea would be to look with a fresh set of eyes at the location where it's at, perhaps making some sort of entryway on the downstream side with a hoist that we could more readily access it, or we just leave it where it's at and try to put some of the components that we had wanted to incorporate with the upstream side into the downstream side, like a self-cleaning type of pump that would make it so we don't have to access it as much. So those are just some of the things that we're kind of tossing around right now before we kind of go back out.
So, yeah, that bid came in late Thursday afternoon, and so the team hasn't got together since Thursday to do that, with yesterday being a holiday, so we'll do that this week. But everything else is on track at this point with software, electronics, and electrical and everything else.
Yep, it's moving along.
Okay. Any questions on hydro? Okay. We'll move on. We have no unfinished business, but we'll move on to new business. And we have 2 items there for updates. They do not require action at this point, but if you can talk about admin HVAC bid. Obviously, you've got the heaters working, but this is the separation of controls and thermostats within the building, so.
Sure, right. Right, so the boilers are operational, working well. So this component would be to add the AC component, similar to what we have here with the different thermostats that offer control to individual offices and zones, instead of, what we have now, which is much more broad zones that don't really allow for individual access. So the idea is that this would hopefully go a long way to make employees much more comfortable, because they'll have more control over their heating and cooling. So working with Doug Bright on this, the idea is to go out to bid very soon with an anticipated opening date of around the 13th, so that we can get it on the agenda for next ESU meeting. And the bid will also have an optional, an alternate for a dehumidifier system in the basement. We do have some, it's a basement from a very old building, it has a lot of condensation, so depending on what the cost comes in, we'll take a look at that.
Biggest thing that we have with our building right now is zoning, kind of like we had here, where a good example is I'm usually pretty warm, don't need it to be, 71, 72 degrees. We've got other areas, if you're on the certain area of the building with the windows, you might want it a couple degrees more to be more comfortable, and so different things. So this would allow the zone like we've done here, where we got the thermostats where we can adjust them on the fly, some different things. This is a budgeted expense that we do have in ESU capital, but the design has been in, so that'll go out, as we said, hope to bring back to you 30 days from now, a bid recommendation for finalizing the repairs of the HVAC. And then, Zach, you want to talk about the pole repair you brought up earlier? So this is more of in my mind, this is more of an emergency thing, but it's why we talk about why we don't spend all our capital right away, because things come up, so.
Right, yeah, so we did, like I said, we lost power at East Gracefield, and I had to run the backup generators for a while. Electricians were able to find the problem, it was a blown fuse. In replacing that fuse, noticed that around the base of the pole, there's some significant kind of degradation, so that, we definitely need to, it's not an immediate emergency, but it's definitely something that we need to have on the radar to replace. So working with Outson to get that replaced as his schedule allows, I think we're still in good timing here. But it would be, to replace the pole and the service, the conduit, and the meter.
Concern we got is with it rotting away. It's a wood pole, correct?
Yes.
A wood pole that's rotting underneath ground. It'll fall on us at some point, so I authorized Zach to get a number. It's not a huge number, but it's got some expense to it, and we just said it's one of those, in my opinion, is let's prevent it before it does fall down, we have a bigger problem. So they can get to work on it sometime in the next quarter or so and repair that, so. We have the ability to do this. We've been working with DPW on some of their equipment needs. When we talked to them, we said at the last meeting if we could kind of wait till March to make sure we get through most of the fiscal year before any major emergency capital repair items come up. This is kind of one of those things, so. But $15,000 is, Frank and James will tell you, is a lawnmower that they can get, type of thing. But I think we'll still be fine with being able to purchase some of the equipment that they want before the end of the fiscal year. But again, I said, let's just wait to make sure we don't have anything major that pops up during these cold days in spring here. So it's more of an update for you. We'll go ahead and get that pole replaced, but just wanted to bring it to your attention as it was found out last week. Any questions regarding that?
Do you want a motion, or
No,
it's already paid, so we're done?
It's because it's under that threshold for a bid, and they do a lot of our pole work and everything, it's just easier for them with the equipment to do that than our team to be able to handle that. So, just because, again, I'd rather, as we're spending money, you to know what we're spending it on. If it starts to have, I call 5 figures in it, I think you should know about what's going on there, so, but we don't need a motion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We do not have a need for an executive session tonight, so it is now, if there's any questions or comments. Okay, seeing none, it is 6:40. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
We have a motion from Alderman Jones. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Alderwoman Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.